Welcome back to another advanced math video tutorial. This time, we will discuss the properties of complex number. First property is the two complex numbers 𝑎+𝑏𝑖 and 𝑐+𝑑𝑖 are said to be equal if and only if a equals to c and b is equivalent to d. So example is find the value of x and y given that 3x minus 2i is equivalent to 6 plus yi. From its property, it said that the two complex numbers are equal if the real part is equal and the imaginary part are equal. So from this example, we have the real part 3x is equivalent to the real part 6. So 3x is equivalent to 6 and the imaginary part 2i is equivalent to yi, or simply negative 2 is equivalent to y. So meaning our value of x is equivalent to dividing both sides by 1/3. So we have x is equivalent to 2 and our value of y is equivalent to negative 2. So if we want to check if our answer is correct, we substitute the value of x and y to our original equation. So we have 3 times x, which is 2, minus 2i. Then on the right hand side, let's check. 6 plus our y is negative 2i. So 3 times 2 is 6 minus 2i. Is it equal to the right hand side? So these two are equal. Therefore, the value of x and y is 2 and negative 2. Our second property of complex number states that if c is equivalent to x plus yi, then the negative of c is the complex number negative c is equivalent to negative x minus yi. So for example number 2, if we have given c is equivalent to 3 plus 4i and we get the value of negative c, so this is equivalent to just multiply negative to c, that's 3 plus 4i. So the negative value of c is equivalent to negative 3 minus 4i. Common mistake is that if we multiply by negative c, some students multiply only 8 on the real part. So as we can see, negative value is not distributed to the positive side. This is the common mistake of most students. So ito yung magiging sagot dapat natin for number 2. If we multiply negative 1 to our z. So for our next property, if two of the complex number differ only in the sign of their imaginary parts, either one is said to be conjugate of the other. The conjugate of c is written as c bar or c asterisk. Complex conjugate of a complex number is obtained geometrically by reflecting the point z in the real axis. Meaning, if we have given point, example this one, this is x plus yi, we just reflect this point to our real axis. So if we project it to our real axis, so this will become x minus yi, and this is let's say this is z, this is our conjugate of our z. So that's another property of our complex number, the conjugate. if we want to get the conjugate of a complex number. So let's have an example. Let's have z1 is equivalent to 3 plus 4i. z2 is equivalent to 3 minus 4i. z3 is equivalent to negative 3 plus 4i. And z4 is equivalent to negative 3 minus 4i. If we will get the conjugate of this 4 complex number, the resulting value will be, as stated in the properties, yung atin lang daw imaginary part ang maiiba yung value. Kung ito ay positive, magiging siyang negative. Then, this is negative, so our C2 or the conjugate of C2 will just put bar or asterisk. So that is equivalent to 3 plus 4i. If we have Z3, kung negative to, hindi nyo na napapakailaman ito. Since our concern is the sign of the imaginary part. So equivalent to negative 3 minus 4i. Again, for C4, this will retain as negative since this is a real part. Our main concern is the different sign of the opposite sign rather of our imaginary part. So we just copy the real part, and we take the opposite sign of our imaginary part. As you can see, from positive it became negative, from negative became positive, from positive became negative, from negative became positive. So this is the conjugate of our given real complex number. So let's have an example in 3 using the given complex number. So find the conjugate of the negative C1. So first, in solving the conjugate of negative C1, so we can rewrite the equation as conjugate of negative 3 plus 4i. And the conjugate of negative 3 plus 4i is equivalent to conjugate. And simply, first is to multiply the negative sign. That's negative 3 minus 4i. And if we want to get the conjugate of negative 3 minus 4i is negative 3. Again, the opposite of negative is positive 4i. So that is the answer for number 3. That's the conjugate of the negative of z1. So for the next given, so let's have negative c2. This time it's also the conjugate of the negative c2. Again, what's the value of negative c2? That is 3 minus 4i. So we have negative of 3 minus 4i. Then we have the conjugate. So negative 3 minus 4i is also equivalent to negative 3 plus 4i. Then we have the conjugate, meaning we'll get the opposite sign of our imaginary part, which is negative 3 minus 4i. So this is the answer for our given negative C2 conjugate. So that is the 3 properties of the complex number. Thank you. Please like, subscribe, and share.